Hi YouTube. Christine here. Just wanting to rant about some stuff that was on my mind. I don't know. I'm hoping 2026 is going to be a good year for everyone. I really do. And as I think about just past life experiences and everything, I have a gripe. One thing that I can honestly say, and I feel like I was part of the issue, if you're not ready to truly be in the dating pool, don't be in it. Don't be in it. Heal, reflect, go to therapy, get a workbook, get a friend. A service animal. I don't know what people need to do, but do what may work for them. But dating is not a solution to your issues. If you know emotionally you're not equipped, and that's the thing, a lot of people are not aware. Self-reflection actually is a really big thing, and it has taken me quite some time to really truly sit and reflect and think and ruminate on like past ideas that I had that may have been problematic, past beliefs, preferences I may have had, or things that I may have been attracted to in the past. Like, it takes some time. But what I could honestly say, as you get into like the 40 plus range and you still know that you really don't have the wherewithal and the follow through necessary to be in a healthy, cohesive, mutually beneficial relationship, girl, don't do it. Like, I don't get it. I stopped watching a lot of those dating shows. No shade to the dating shows and people who enjoy watching them. To me, it's insufferable. I think one of the least favorite of mine, because I love a 90-day fiance. I love a scam situation, okay? But what was it? Ready for love, ready to love, ready for something. Nobody on that show was ready for for love. Like, nobody. I didn't see one person that I was like, okay, this person seems to have it all. They may look put together, moisturized, and they work out 4 or 5 times, or they do some CrossFit. 9 times out of 10, they were not. They were ready to be on the camera. They were ready to get like their 5-10 minutes of fame, or parlay that into whatever projects they had going on, or further enhance their businesses. But love was not on the equation. And I remember watching one of these YouTubers talk about, she would dissect like the show, and I forget the name of the YouTuber, to be honest with you. It's been so many years now. But she talked about it, I think, up until that point, because I think I bowed out after like the 3rd season. I was like, okay, this is not my ministry. I think I only watched 2 seasons. I didn't watch the first one. I watched the second and possibly the 3rd, because I think one was in Atlanta and then another one was in Houston. And then after that, I was like, okay, this is just not my thing. But needless to say, at that time, she made mention of the people on that show, I think, having possibly one engagement and none of the relationships materialized into marriage. Now, granted, I come from a school of thought, I come from a very traditional West Indian background. Marriage was always something that was forced upon people or thrusted upon them. But I don't think it was a benefit to women. I still don't think it's a benefit to women, but that's a whole other story for another day. I find a lot of the women who were married in my family are now divorced or just like miserable and still married. So that's a thing. So I teeter-totter on whether or not marriage is something that I would want to aspire to. I can't write it out completely and say that it's not something that I would never consider, but it would have to make sense. Like, the dollars have to make sense. I need to know and see a return on my investment. Like I have real estate, I have degrees. I want to see a return on my investment. And oftentimes the people that I see, I have to question. But that's just, you know. So what was I saying? The Ready to Love folks. So there was one potential, or I think at that time I was watching the YouTuber, it was one potential engagement. Well, I don't know if they broke it off. And I think Houston had this attorney, Simone. I love that, you know, I know that name well because I have a cousin of mine whose name is Simone. So I remember that. I forget the name of the guy. But needless to say, she had all her ducks in a row, professional, various businesses, just like business acumen. Like you could tell like she was that girl. And I felt so bad because I think she later got engaged to one of the guys. Incidentally, they actually weren't matched on the show. They wound up beginning, I guess they got like a friendship going. And from that, it materialized into something more romantic. And shortly before they were looking to, I guess, finalize the wedding plans, the guy came out and said that he was in financial ruin. And he had already been married before, which to me, some people say they don't mind it. To me, it's a red flag because it's like, what did you learn from that relationship? Moving forward, any relationship I choose to be in or participate in, I have to reflect on how the relationship is going, the dynamic, and even past relationships. I want to know, what have I learned from that experience? Because again, these are things that people take for granted that they should never take for granted. You know, whatever relationship, whether it be familial, professional, romantic, you should be able to learn from that. I think relationships as a whole, through interacting with the other person, can see things in ourselves if you're really truly doing it correctly. And I was like, okay, that's very enlightened. You can learn more about yourself by being in a relationship. You really can, if you're taking heed and being intentional. But needless to say, the guy said he didn't have the money. Him say, you know, I think it was like $10,000 a piece they were going to put towards the wedding, which I thought was actually really reasonable. I mean, in this age, you know, that's not really going far. So for me, that was a fear. And at that point, I think he was in his mid 40s, possibly close to 50. Don't quote me. I know Simone, the woman who I'm talking about or referencing, I want to say maybe she's possibly like, I don't know. But either way, you would think they're people who are established. Like if you don't have that amount just set aside, even for emergencies, I have to question like, what's going on? I mean, to me, I give grace if you had a bad business venture, and I think he had some issues during COVID, but then he got a PPP. It was a whole situation. Needless to say, you really have to like sit and reflect. And part of the reason why I got frustrated is thinking about those shows. I feel like it does a disservice because more often than not, the women are doing their thing on these shows. They're business oriented, highly educated, go-getters, they're keeping themselves up. Like they're about their business. And to me, they would make great partners, but a lot of the men that are on the shows are just like really in between. It's real sus. I'm just like, dude, how'd they get on the show? So, I mean, maybe they should change the name instead of Ready to Love, Ready to Play Games, or Ready to Waste Somebody's Time, or, you know, Ready to Go Ghost in 3-4 months, you know, ready to pay child support. I don't know, but they need to pivot from that Ready to Love situation. I think it's absolutely absurd. And I can't just hate on that show. It's just, to me, I'm just using that show as an example. You know, recently I teeter-totter on being on like the dating apps and such, and I get really disgusted really easily by, it's a lot of people who, self-awareness is very, very important. What could I honestly say? Let's start with punctuations. Please, guys. I don't know if I can't even say it's a generational thing, because there are usually other millennials that I'm obviously attracting on the dating app. So it's like we're within the same age group, plus or minus a couple of years, but not anything significant where it would play a part. Use punctuation. It'll be like a full-fledged paragraph. I don't know what's going on. I have to reread it 3 times. I'm not an English major. Like I just not, but come on. That is a huge pet peeve to me. What else? Some of the guys have like visible wedding rings. Like, to me, that's an easy, okay, process of elimination. Like, I thank people for for being that like bold and emboldened. I was like, okay, so you already know what time it is. To me, it's like if you push forward, you already, like, you get what you get. But it's just, it's a lot of sifting through the madness. And I was watching this popular YouTuber / I think IG. He's like a comedian, but he's talking a bit about people using dating apps incorrectly. And ironically enough, I heard that echoed where I was watching another, I don't want to say a YouTuber per se. He's like a dating / attachment style guru. So by profession, he was a marriage and family therapist, but he had to forego his license in order to pursue that level of services for his clients. And I guess it probably opens up the pool of people that he could service, because there's no state regulation, etc., etc. Needless to say, he'd made mention of the same thing too, where people on the dating apps, they have attachment style issues. Now, I myself can attest to having one, but I think through a lot of talk therapy and really self-identifying and kind of course correcting, I feel like I have a better grasp. I don't think anyone's gonna be 100% actualized. I think we're all gonna go through this realm having taken some type of experience or energy from one situation to the next. But it's how you self-awareness, self-identify, course correct, and be aware before it becomes an issue potentially. And again, you could always piggyback off of like a therapist or a friend, or someone who has a more of a objective view. Now, I say that they both mentioned that people on dating apps tend to have a lot of issues. I don't know how else to kind of use the dating apps. The comedian that I was referencing before, the guru, he mentions that people are not using it correctly. They're just swiping. To me, it's kind of like odd, because you can have a lot of potential matches, but are they quality matches? I don't know. And it's like, it's very difficult to kind of sift through a lot. Like, I have certain things that I just kind of like do as a point. If someone doesn't get back within a certain amount of time, like, to me, it's just easier to kind of sift through it that way, where you have a set standard on how you approach communication with folks. But I don't know the rationale. I don't know what would be of benefit. Like, I don't know what the end all be all is. To me, I feel the way people are socialized is potentially the issue. And this is across all societal norms. So to me, it's a macro issue. Like, I don't know how else to kind of convey it. It's a macro issue. The dude in Istanbul can terrorize you just the same way as, Joe Schmo from New York. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I feel like As I get older, I am less sure about a lot of things. I think maybe because when you know more, you kind of like reflect on things from a different perspective. I think when you're younger, less influenced, less educated, less aware, less self-aware, you have kind of like a different, I would say, worldly perspective. And I don't know. I would like, I would like for everyone to be in therapy, to be honest with you. Dogs, cat, like everyone. I would absolutely adore that, because at the very least, I mean, for one, the therapist would get billable hours. Like, listen, I'm in school myself, to pursue, another degree, put it that way. But I would love to do private practice, and that's one of my goals, in all honesty, because I see the need, especially as a veteran, as a Black woman, as a woman, as a millennial, having experienced and gone through so much trauma just existing. I think it behooves anyone to kind of like share their expertise, their knowledge, and help their community in any way they potentially could. So that's just my thing. But I really would like, I think it would be a lot easier to navigate through the dating experience if people were more self-aware, if people cared. Let's just get back to humanity, where people actually care about each other and not just you, not just from an individual perspective, because yes, self-preservation should trump everything. You want to make sure that you're safe, you want to make sure that you're nurtured and cared for and your needs are met. But my goodness, if you're looking for partnership in someone else, in another human mammal person, it behooves you to also consider that person. That's how I look at it. And oftentimes I feel like people are they're so self-absorbed. It's just like, look at it. Like, I can literally empathize with other people. I may not necessarily agree with everyone. And that's the thing. I'm open to dialogue. I'm open to new ideas. I'm open to having conversations, nuanced conversations. It doesn't have to be anything like, I'm not that fixed or rigid in my thought to say I can't have a conversation with someone else. But oftentimes I feel people just lack empathy. And to me, it's just like, that's basic human decency. Please be nice to each other. When people don't look at things from the other person's perspective, it also faults you too. Like, and that's the thing, it can affect you. Like, your lack of awareness is gonna continue. And it may mean that you sacrifice one relationship and you move to the next, but the issue has yet to be resolved. And I think that is the biggest thing, like, just empathy. Like, I didn't realize we were here, but we're here. Just be kind. I think moving forward, that would be my approach, but I will intentionally look at that first and see, okay, is this person kind? Not nice, because that nice guy trope to me is just that's a problem. A lot of guys, quote unquote, like to play like they're nice people, but it's a mask. We all wear masks, actually. It's a defense mechanism, and I get it. Like, it's a self-preservation technique. A lot of people do it because they themselves are not yet ready to face themselves, and they don't want to have the potential judgment of other people facing them, their real selves. So that's a whole other thing. But when you are so caught in your own issues and not able to see things from other people's perspectives and just be a nice, kind, not nice, but kind individual, it's always going to be an issue. And, You know, I would love to have a world where everyone is self-actualized, everyone is doing well, everyone is living up to their potential, everyone is happy. You know, the world would go so much smoother. And I guess too, in a weird way, I guess it would probably be really boring, even though it would be really nice to know. Because if everyone is vibrating on the same frequency, there's no friction, there's no tension, there's, you know, it's cohesion, but it's like, okay, there's nothing to kind of balance it off, I guess. But more often than not, and I noticed too, post-COVID, a lot of people are very isolative, and when you lose that sense of camaraderie or that sense of belongingness, you have difficulty not only just relating to other people, but truly embracing that human experience. And I think that's a thing, it's an issue. I would like to hear someone else's thoughts about this. You know, I want to start making more of these videos because sometimes my mind just ruminates and it's just like blah, 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 blah. I will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I'm just hoping that, you know, I am able to use this platform to have a voice, not only for myself, but other people could kind of like just bounce other ideas off of me and vice versa. I am really trying to be intentional moving forward to really, you know, posting quite a bit. And we'll see what happens, but thank you, YouTube. I appreciate any and every person that watches. I'm trying to build my platform, and I'm just trying to get the work around and see exactly what specific topics I want to talk about. I want to talk more about like financial goals and professional goals and just, you know, overall things. It's not going to be very cookie cutter. I think I'm just going to bounce a lot of ideas in my head and just kind of like see what sticks. But, you know, I want it to be more of a holistic kind of channel, if that makes any sense. But like, share, subscribe. I appreciate everyone and anyone, and take care. Bye.